Hey, I wanted to take it easy today. I am feeling a little better. I think it may just be I have to wait a few weeks. I do have an appointment on Wednesday, which may or may not help, given how bad my luck's been in life lately. I'm not really expecting too much, but I wanted to ask what you guys would like to see. Now, obviously, I paid for the founders pack for Critica, and I ended up pretty much pulling a Steam sale and not using it. Luckily they gave you I think it was the 20% extra cash credit, so it's not like it was completely worthless. But I really didn't play that much. I think that the problems the game had, and the combination of that and me being on vacation, pretty much like I think it was like 2 days after they launched, I just didn't really have much of an ability to play it. I was thinking of either doing that, DFO, or Earth Dawn. I wasn't really expecting to get much of a reception or response for Earth Dawn. I was just kind of curious to play it. I've seen people say so many polarizing things about it, and I just wonder like how many of those people like actually play, you know, combat heavy games where the meat of the game is fighting. Some people don't like that. Some people want a really immersive story or cutscenes or other stuff. I think the customization is pretty cool. I think the problem the game has is, like I said in the overview, it's mostly what I talked about, was the presentation or lack thereof. The animations are pretty crappy, and it doesn't. The game it seems to have an identity crisis and wants to like really sell the impact of the moves, which is a really important thing in an action game. It's one reason why platinum games are so satisfying to play. Even if it's not their best work, the way that they are able to sell the impact of the moves is what really helps. Even stuff like Korra. Korra is considered to be one of the worst games that they've made. I didn't think it was a bad game. I think for $15 it was actually pretty decent. And what a lot of people don't realize is that you gave anybody else that license, it wouldn't have turned out as good. Maybe it would have had a higher budget, but the combat, which for a game that's based on a martial arts show, is definitely something that should be more refined than everything else. I think that stuff's really important. So I wanted to ask what you guys would like to see. I can play any of those games. DFO actually just had the summer festival in Korea, and they announced a few things that sound pretty nice. There's going to be 2 new classes for the Knight and the Lancer. I'm looking forward to all the people wanting the classes to be removed, the Lancer classes to be removed. I love that meme so much. I don't really understand why people have that reasoning that they need to be removed when the drop pool is going to be garbage no matter how much they add. But they added that stuff. I think that there's going to be a huge rearranging or restructuring of the leveling content, which I'm kind of interested in. But if it's going to continue to be the same thing where you just one-shot everything until you get to level 86 or 85 and then everything just starts taking way longer, it's more annoying. I'm not really sure. They also talked about some kind of craftable epic system. They haven't really said if it's going to be anything in the game or just certain ones, but I think that's pretty cool as long as they have like actual properties. I have like even less of an incentive or motivation to like really max out a character in that game now, because like all the level 90 epics are pretty much just boring base damage increasers, which has never really got me to play a game for longer. If you give me a carrot on a stick kind of mentality for something that like changes the properties of a move or something, like I'm all over that. But if you just give me 10% more damage, that's never really kept me in the seat playing the game. So those are your options for now. I'm not even going to go ahead and make a poll. You can just go ahead and comment here. It's easier to do that than go to another site. Critica, they have not talked much about the updates. I know that people are starting to get bored. I think a lot of that is because they have the unlimited fatigue system. So even if you're at the lowest part of your rest point bar, you can still farm the endgame dungeons like pretty much all day if you wanted to. So you have people blowing through the content really fast and then just getting a good character pretty quickly and then having nothing to do. I think that's it's a slippery slope. There's a Korean player who plays Critica naturally on the Korean server, and he actually speaks really good English, and he was talking about how he didn't approve of the changes, how it kind of cheapens the grind, which for a game like that, the grind is like the whole point of it. It's no different than a hunting game. It's just a more stylized, fast-paced hunting game. And I told him, the reason they made those changes, even if it's not something that will necessarily work for the long-term lifespan of the game, is because they changed that stuff because it's the number one thing that everyone complains about. I remember when Nexon DFO came out, there were a ton of people playing. Now, obviously, that's not really exclusive to DFO. You launch a new free-to-play MMO, and people are going to flock to it, even if maybe not even 40% of them will stick around. The biggest complaint they had was the fatigue system. People outside of the East are not used to being limited to how long they can play. So when you change that, sometimes it has adverse effects on the economy. Like the reverse could be the same too. Say they released like PSO2 in like China or something, and they had a fatigue system to combat the game addiction problem they have over there. Like, it would probably really mess with that game because you're actually intended to like stay on for sometimes hours at a time, even if you're not like physically playing. Like, you're kind of expected to like idle in a lobby to wait for the next emergency quest. Like, that would really cause an issue. And I think with Kritika, they're just at the point where if they didn't have that infinite rest point system at all, then that would be the only thing people would be complaining about. People are still complaining about it now, even though you can play for a lot longer. I think the problem is just that the quests don't really give a lot of experience, so you pretty much are, at least from what little I played of it, you pretty much just play through it. Having to go back to town doesn't really help either. But I'm interested in kind of playing it, especially right now. There's not much going on, and I kind of need to... I don't even know what's wrong with my hands. As far as I know, it may be nothing. It's going to be a while before I can find out, but at the same time, sitting here and just talking to people on Twitch is not productive either. I think I need to get back into video production because it helps me to fight my anxiety. It's been the best tool I've had towards, managing my mental health. So let me know what you guys want to see. I'll probably look at the results tomorrow and I'll figure something out. I'll probably play a lot of them regardless. Apparently, I kind of lucked out having these issues that it kind of made me not want to game that much lately, because there's a really annoying event in DFO right now, which is actually going to get removed tonight by the time you guys see this, where there's these zombies that spawn, and they're just really annoying to fight. They also hide behind the foreground and stuff, so a lot of people have been complaining about the leveling, especially since they have an event right now that gives you those damage fonts for capping all 4 classes in the female priest. So I might go into that. I might do Kritika. We'll see what happens. Anyway, catch you guys later. Also, thanks to the people who have been understanding why I've been doing more talking stuff. It's been really difficult for me to deal with this, especially right now. Like, I'm really low on cash. I'm going to have to watch it for the rest of the month. I'm basically not going to be able to spend much more on the channel at all. I'm really glad that I got Earth's Dawn. The two hours or so that I played of it has been really enjoyable. I hear it's got some pretty annoying progression blockers and grinding, but I mean, if you watch me for as long as I've been around, you know that I'm not really adverse to that. I'm not against it. I've done it numerous times, so we'll see what happens. Catch you guys later. Peace.